What's going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 7. Are we already 7 weeks into this thing of Timeout with uSTADIUM? Really, you guys? Is it?
We've made it this far.
Wow.
I'm shocked. Nick's been on 6 episodes. That's the most surprising part.
Nobody's booed us off yet. That's pretty impressive. So, pats on the back for us. But we're here, and you can't get rid of us. So, good luck trying. We got some breaking news in the NFL world this morning, folks, talking about quarterback carousel, which we've done for the last couple of weeks. There was another domino to fall, and that being Carson Wentz is out of Philly, and he is in Indy for a 3rd-round pick in this year's draft and a conditional 2nd next year, which could end up being a 1st. So the conditions of this thing are, if he plays 75% or more snaps, it becomes a 1st-round pick. Or if he plays 70% and the Colts make the playoffs, Philly gets a 1st-round pick wherever that may be. You figure it'd be mid to low round, but the Colts got their quarterback, and now it seems like it's Jalen Hurts in Philly. So who won this trade, you guys? Who do you think is going to benefit the best from this? Do you think this is a good move for Wentz, a good situation for him to be in, back with his old coach? What do we think? Who wants to go first?
I'll hop in, sure. I think it's a win-win for both. I mean, the Colts wanted to get Wentz, and Wentz wanted to play with Frank Reich. So it works for them, and it gives them a quarterback for not just next year, but hopefully if it all pans out for the next few years. I mean, they didn't want to be stuck in that, we'll reassess at the end of the year like they were with the Phillip Rivers, and wasn't going to go the Ben Roethlisberger or veteran route where they would have to guess if their quarterback was going to be the same guy next year. And they also didn't want to go to the rookie route because they're more built to win now. So a guy like Wentz makes a lot of sense for them. And obviously the relationship with Frank Reich, and on the Eagles side, they got their 3rd-round pick this year. I'm sure they would have wanted a 1 this year, but the Colts weren't going to do that. The Colts wanted to protect themselves against getting a guy in Wentz who, if he comes and he turned out to be damaged goods this year, or if he just didn't fit in, or if maybe he is completely shot, like they didn't want to give a 1st-round pickup for that. But they protected themselves, and the Eagles will get a 1st-rounder out of it next year. I don't think there's really any situation unless Wentz goes in and gets hurt, which would be unfortunate, but they'll end up getting a 1st-round pick out of it. So I think it works for them. And Wentz was too far gone in Philly for him to go back this year. There was too much of he said, and they got rid of Peterson, and with Howie Roseman, it's a whole mess over there. So he couldn't have gone back there. They move on. They get to play with Hurts. I think they're still going to draft a quarterback. I think them at 6 is still in play for a quarterback, potentially even moving up with Miami to get whoever the Jets don't pick at 2. So I don't think this is just, hey, Jalen Hurts, it's your show, here we go. I don't think at all. New head coach with Nick Sirianni, so he gets to pick his quarterback. So we'll see, but I think it needed to happen. That 19 days from the Stafford trade felt like 19 years, didn't it? It felt like we were talking about this Wentz trade forever.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, it was good to kind of get some closure and get another move on there. And now we can look forward to the next quarterback domino to fall, which could be a Sam Darnold trade, or who knows, maybe Garoppolo moves on, but maybe it is a Watson one. I don't know, but I think we're going to see a lot of moves, and quarterbacks are going to be moving, changing places, and it's going to be a pretty crazy offseason.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a wild offseason. I already think it's pretty wild. When's the last time you saw a trade like this with Stafford and Goff, and now you see this trade to the Colts? So that was crazy to me. I'm not used to this. This offseason's like the NBA offseason right now. It's been pretty hectic already. So I'm just going to imagine how it's going to end up, being in the next, couple of weeks. But this move was awesome for the Colts because the Colts have one thing that Carson Wentz did not have in Philly. And when he did, he was putting up MVP numbers, and that's an offensive line. The Colts last year had the 7th ranked offensive line by PFF, and you're going to put him in a system where he's going to be protected. He knows Frank Reich. He knows that system. He knows exactly where he's going to go with the football. Now, they do need to get him some more weapons. I don't think Michael Pittman's the answer necessarily as their best wide receiver, although I like Pittman a lot. I don't think he's going to be necessarily number 1, can't miss kind of wide receiver 1. I would definitely look into investing some weapons around Wentz. I think T.Y. Hilton's gone. Mo Alley Cox, you're going to be able to depend on him as your number one tight end, but it's about the offensive line first and foremost. And the fact that the Colts have a really good offensive line, that's going to make Wentz's life 10 times easier. So it's big. It's big for the Colts. And they didn't even give up that much. I mean, they gave up a third and a conditional 2. It's a great deal. And I'm worried as a Jets fan, we're not getting a first-round pick for Sam Darnold, Nick. I don't think
the two have anything to do with each other.
No, of course they do.
Of course they're not.
With
not at all.
They don't. With this trade, they absolutely do.
Absolutely not.
Nick, we're talking apples and melon apples. We're talking.
What the hell is a melon apple?
Hitachi apples. What are the brands? You got the Hitachi.
Macintosh.
The two things have nothing to do with each other. You're talking
How do they
about
not have anything to do with each other?
You're talking about a guy in Carson Wentz who was coming with a $33 million dead money, a guy who has a 4-year contract, and a guy in Sam Darnold who's 23, untapped potential, not an injury. I know he's had a few mono and a finger here and there. Wentz is a guy who's dealt with multiple injuries. He's coming with a huge contract. And you're talking about a guy who's 22 or 23 who has 2 more years of team control. They have nothing to do with each other.
There we go. Yes, my grandmother has those.
Called
they're
watermelon?
trash. Yes, melon apples.
Okay, well, that's certainly not a watermelon.
Yeah. They're terrible. Don't worry. You're not missing anything.
No, I don't think they're going to get a 1 for him. I never did. I always said it was going to be a 2 this year and then possibly a 4 next year or a 4 this year. That could be another conditional pick. If he starts X amount of games or makes a Pro Bowl or whatever it may be, it becomes a 3rd-round pick. I don't think a 1st-round pick. I mean, that was an Adam Schefter report. I never thought or expected a 1 unless a team like Pittsburgh or New Orleans really wanted him, as well as a team like Washington or Carolina, and Carolina was only offering their 2, and obviously they have an earlier pick than Pittsburgh and New Orleans. Maybe it would have been a 1 for Darnold and a 3rd rounder, or Darnold and a 4th rounder. Then you get a 1 out of it. That's the only way I really saw it ever being a 1st-round pick. But I was always expecting a 2 and 4 or 5 for Darnold.
Nick, look at Splash hyping himself up with these comments.
He literally, I know. He's talking himself the whole show. It's unbelievable. But Nick, you don't think a team that's going to go to the Jets and they're interested in Sam Darnold, what do you think they're going to use as negotiation power on their end to get Darnold for less? They're going to say, look at what Carson Wentz got traded for. It's not even guaranteed he's getting a 1. The argument with Darnold now, it doesn't start from a late 1 as the Jets coming into this negotiation. It starts with a 2, and watch, it's probably going to be a 3rd-round pick. No. It's probably going to be a 3rd. It's probably going to be a 3rd, and maybe a 5th, a 3rd, and a 5th, and maybe the 3rd can turn into a 2. Maybe it's a conditional 3. We're not going to get a sure thing 2nd, and I think with this trade, the 1 that we were hoping for is gone. There is no shot we're getting a 1st-round pick for Darnold. I don't think at all. I don't even think this trade really screws up what you're going to get back for Darnold. I mean, Darnold and Wentz are pretty similar. Wentz is a little bit older in the game, but they were drafted both. One was 2, Wentz was 2, Darnold's 3. They were hyped up. They went into pretty bad organizations at the time that didn't really surround them with what they needed. They have a similar style game. I mean, we're not talking about 2 completely different quarterbacks here. They're both available. They both needed to, you need to trade for both of them. They're not free agents. So I don't see how one doesn't affect the other. Watson, this doesn't affect at all. I think Watson, you're still starting with 3 1s. But I think for Darnold, I think absolutely this affects the Darnold
you're forgetting
market.
The contract, dude. That's the most important thing here. You're getting a guy in Darnold who's very affordable for the next year. Then you can make a decision if you want to pick up his 5th-year option or not when you trade for him, which probably you will if you are going to invest in him. Then you still have him under control for relatively cheap and no long-term commitment. You're committed to Wentz for 4 years. You're not committed to Darnold, and you're talking about a cap that's not going to be as low as people thought, but it's still, you're going to have teams that are up against it. But if there are 6 or 7 teams calling the Jets for Sam Darnold, which has been reported, what do you think? They're just going to say, oh, if a 4th-round pick, no thanks. That's not how it's going to go. You're going to play these teams against each other, and if a team like Pittsburgh or New Orleans, who are in cap hell, they can't, obviously Breeze is going to retire, and the Ben situation is kind of completely in flux right now. If they can't go out and sign a veteran quarterback, what are they going to do? They're not going to go into the draft picking 24th. Even if you get their second round pick plus a pick, like you're going to get a second round pick for Darnold.
But are you going to trade for Sam Darnold a 1, let's say hypothetically? And I see your point with the contract situation because Darnold's contract's a lot more favorable, so that's in the team's favor. But are you really going to bring in Sam Darnold for a 1, let's say, and then what? You're going to get rid of him in a year?
That's exactly what I was going to
do. No, you're going to have a relatively cheap 2-year, basically, he's a showcase. It's a showcase.
Or an expensive lease or something like that.
Look, you're not trading for Sam Darnold's resume with the Jets. You're trading for Sam Darnold because you think that you can get more out of Sam Darnold than the Jets did. You're not. If you were trading for Sam Darnold and what he's done with the Jets, you wouldn't get a 12th round pick for the guy. He was terrible. So you're not. You're talking about an ego-driven coach who says this guy is untapped potential. He's 23. He's making $12 million this year, and then if he is what we thought he is, he'll make 24 or 5, whatever it would be. If they pick up his 5th-year option, and he's still only 25 years old, whereas Wentz is 27. So you're talking about 2 more years under control, relatively cheap, and you're talking about a guy who's going to be 25 at the end of that contract. And if he does play to his potential and what a team sees in him, then you talk about paying the guy at 25 or 6 years old. So yeah, a second-round pick is not a lot to invest in a potential franchise quarterback.
I'm just not necessarily sure that Sam was going to command a first-round pick regardless.
I never
what
thought
happened.
That's
a good point too. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know why Schefter.
Well, there is a reason why Sam Darnold's not going to command the first round pick, and a lot of people believe this is his play this year. He sucked. He was the worst quarterback statistically in QBR. He had a shitty season. If he had a decent season, or he had a season like he had a few years ago, where the last 4 games of the season he led the league in QBR, you can use that as
have been moving
to your
on
advantage.
Then, though.
The Jets made a mistake, in my opinion, because they didn't give Darnold, at least for a 4-game stretch or even 3-game stretch, any sort of tape that you can put out there that you can say this guy is worth a second-round pick. It's Nick. What do you? I mean, we could go around, but I'm telling you, I think it's a third. We're going to get a third We're going to wake up one day. It's going to be a 3rd-round pick and a 5 conditional that can turn into a 4, and we're going to move on, and we'll get into this soon. Wilson, Fields, or by some magic, we'll bring in Watson. But the Darnold, I don't even think a 2nd-round pick is a sure thing at this point. I don't.
I could see it too, but I could see it too being packaged with some later rounds. I don't think it would take like 2 2s or something like that.
I think it's going to be a 2 and a day 3 pick. I don't know if the day 3 pick will be this year or next year. So, I mean, that's what I've kind of stood firm on since they talked about moving him, was a 2 and a 4 or a 2 and a 5. Yeah. Otherwise, the Jets won't get rid of him. If they're only getting 3s or 4s, what good does that do? They're not going to trade him.
Yeah, and like I understand the Adam Gase factor. Like Adam Gase is, you can't deny that he's played a role in the way Sam played this year. And I'm not, one to talk about crappy quarterback play, because we all saw what the hell Cam Newton did with a great coach, and it's apples and oranges here. But I mean, you have to take that into consideration. Could you see is Sam's potential worth, let's say, a 2 and a 5?
That's what it is.
Is Sam's potential worth a 2 and a 5 without Adam Gase, or are they a product of them as a whole?
You're not trading.
I agree with a 2 and a 5. I think the 2 today changed with the Wentz deal. I don't think it's a 2 anymore, because you didn't technically get a 1 for Wentz. You got a 2 that can turn into a 1, and it's likely it will, assuming Wentz doesn't get hurt, which I guess isn't really. I mean, that's on you can't assume he can't get hurt, because that guy's always hurt. But I don't know. I think I didn't. That wasn't a good trade for the Sam Darnold market, in my opinion.
It's going to be interesting to see the way this actually does affect, because now you got Jimmy Garoppolo, who just took a team to a Super Bowl last year. What's he? I mean, all signs are pointing to him being out in San Francisco. I don't care what some of these reports have said, that they don't want to move on from it. You can't. I mean, you want to sell me a beach house in the middle of Iowa? Go ahead. Like I'm not going to fall for it. I don't believe it.
And
it's not even to say like
options too for veteran quarterbacks.
Right.
Now that Wentz is gone, that Darnold market, if there's 6 or 7 teams and one of them missed out, that 2, they're going to offer a 2 to move on to get their guy. So the 2 is going to happen. I'm almost.
I don't think so. Let's put a bet on it. Dante's chicken colored prosciutto, mozzarella, oil, vinegar. Deal? Wedge?
Yeah. Yes.
All right. And a bag of chips. We got to make it over.
And 2 mini stuffed peppers, and we got a deal.
Great. So it's going to be $25. Perfect. Okay.
35. If you get a drink, 35.
All right. Yeah.
Tell me you're a Paisan without telling me you're a Paisan. Jesus Christ. All right. So speaking of free agents, there's more people out there than just quarterbacks, obviously. I know the quarterback talk is the hot topic because there's so many, but I mean, there's a lot more high tier free agents out there that teams need, like the Patriots and some of these receivers. So we decided that we are going to do top 3s. So we each pick top 3 free agents, and then we're going to take that list and pick the one that we want our respective teams to target. So me being the Patriots, these guys obviously being the Jets. And we're just going to hash it out. We're going to see who the best fit is. So I'll start. I'll get to start this time. So my top 3 free agents right now, and this is more of like a niche thing. This isn't just who I think is the best available. This is more so leaning towards the New England side of things. So I have Allen Robinson, because that poor guy needs to just get the hell out of Chicago. Like, bad. Hunter Henry, because obvious reasons. He's one of the best tight ends in the league right now. And Ndamukong Suh, who had the most quarterback pressures on one Patrick Mahomes in this Super Bowl.
Yeah, he quietly had a really good Super Bowl and nobody talked about it.
He really did. Really did. And if I were to choose one out of that list for the Pats, I think it would be Allen Robinson, just because this receiving group is just a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
A disaster.
Yeah,
so,
it is. The offense is kind of a disaster right now.
Yeah, well, let's hope the quarterback situation gets figured out too, so we can actually bring in receivers.
Well, Allen Robinson definitely wants to go somewhere with a halfway decent quarterback. Yeah, so he's not doing what he did with Bortles and Trubisky and co.
Yeah, that's
for sure.
No.
Yeah.
All right, so that's mine.
I like the Suh is a little bit of an outside. I didn't expect that, especially. You know, the Tampa group is interesting because they have a lot. Levante David, Chris Godwin, and Ndamukong Suh. Like, you know, even the tight ends they can move on from without incurring any dead caps. And it's going to be interesting to see how they maneuver, obviously, with Shaq Barrett too. But, like, are they going to kind of push everything to the table for another year of Brady and say, all right, let's do some 1-year deals and a franchise tag for Godwin and then go after the market, you know, in 2022, like when the COVID situation is over. So that's going to be really interesting to see what Tampa Bay does.
And my thinking with that is just how he is as a player. He has a semblance of a good string of games, and he wants that payday.
Yeah, that's the one thing with him is I think he looks for that one last payday. I don't know if a 1-year deal is going to make sense for him. He's been signing 1-year deals.
And if the Bucs are dead set on bringing the core of the Super Bowl championship team back, you would have to figure he's a part of that, and you would have to figure he may not get the money from them that he would get elsewhere. So something to pay attention to. He's like kind of like my little sleeper in this situation. But
a good one. What do you got, Frank?
Well, I'm going to start with, first off, my spirit animal, Hassan Reddick. We're one and the same kind of people, so that's my number one guy. I think whoever gets that guy is going to be in a great spot with edge rushers because he can come out any game and get you 4 or 5 sacks. And I call him my spirit animal because it was like me at Colgate. Come out there and practice, get 5 sacks. You don't hear from me again in 2 years, but hey, it's all about the 5-sack game. You put that on YouTube, everyone loves you, so that's all that matters. No, I'm kidding, but that's what it is about Hassan Reddick. He can come out there and he does what Shaq Barrett does. He can go off, and you can teach that and try to get that done more consistently. There's not many guys that can come out there and have that consistent play-by-play production getting to the quarterback. So I would look at him. A lot of people are talking about Shaq Barrett. The Bucs are going to do whatever they can to bring him back. So Hassan Reddick's my number one, I would say, available unrestricted free agent. And I'm going to keep it on the defense. Defense wins championships, baby. You know how it rolls. Ryan Kerrigan, that's another guy. He's a tough-nosed football player. He can do everything, and you're going to get a veteran that's going to come in there and just instantly adds value to your defense. There's no questions asked. Yeah, his productivity might be a little bit down from when he was in his prime, but he'll come in there and he'll be valuable. So I'm a big Ryan Kerrigan fan, and I think in this free agency, he can be potentially big time for a defense that's trying to get over the top, or even one that's working to teach some of the younger guys how to play football. And then Nick, I'm stealing one of your guys. This is a guy that Nick loved since college. It was Nick's. We call them Bofas, meaning like you're a Bofa. It's just someone that you love. Sammy Watkins. Oh. Sammy Watkins, 27 years old. Guy can still play football when he's healthy. Is he ever healthy? No. But you know what? We'll get him on the TB12 diet or something. He'll go vegan. We'll start serving. We'll get him on Daily Harvest. You know what I mean? Get those shakes in your system. And Sammy Watkins might not get hurt anymore. And if he doesn't get hurt, you're going to get a top 15 wide receiver in the game when he's healthy. I would give him a shot. Maybe he just wasn't meant to be in Kansas City. Maybe he's meant to go somewhere else. But Sammy Watkins, when he plays for his 4 or 5 games during the year, you're going to get some great productivity there. So Sammy Watkins is my third guy.
I feel like you went the value route, Frank. That was like those are 3, maybe not Reddick if he hits free agency. Like Kerrigan and Watkins are those like tier 3 guys that you can give a 1 to 2 year deal and they could bust for you or boom or bust for you. They're risky picks.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, If I was a GM, we would probably go 6-10. In the 6 games, we'd score 55 points, and in the 10, we just get blown out. So yeah, I tend to build my teams like that.
I respect it.
What are you gonna do?
All right, so for my 3, it was tough to narrow it down, and I have one guy who's just kind of on the outside, but one is Jonnu Smith. I think he's going to be a guy where if he leaves the Titans, which is very run heavy, obviously with Derrick Henry eclipsing 2,000 yards last year, I think he's a guy who's going to go to an offense that is more pass happy and involves the tight end in the passing game and can explode. I think Jonnu Smith is a really underrated player. So I would love to bring him onto my team if I needed some pass catchers, obviously. 2 is Joe Thuney. I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's one of the best offensive linemen in football. I think he's going to be paid as the top offensive lineman in football. The tag is out. The Pats will tag him again. A guy to watch for the Jets because they were set to make a huge run at him last year. I think it might come down to the Jets, Bengals, and Dolphins for Joe Thuney, and whoever pays him the highest is going to be the team that comes away with him. And my third guy is Curtis Samuel. I love speedster. He's a jack of all trades kind of guy. Finally got in a comfortable offense with Joe Brady this year, and they used him, running the ball. He looked like a real running back, not just like somebody you run a little toss to or like a trick play. He could actually run the ball, and he's a great little gadget receiver, and you can do a lot of things with a guy like him. Fits in the Jets' new offense too, which really gets guys open in space and allows guys to rack up the yak. So I think a guy like Curtis Samuel would make a ton of sense for the Jets, and I don't think you're going to have to pay him along the lines of like an Allen Robinson or Chris Godwin. I think he's on that next tier with like a Corey Davis and Curtis Samuel.
Yeah. I also I need this whole rumor mill around Dak Prescott to heat up a little bit, because if Jerry Jones is going to pull a Jerry Jones and not pay him, I want Belichick on the next flight to Dallas being like, "Hey, how you doing? Let's get you out of here, away from old man wrinkles over here."
I know. Are they going to go through this tag thing again? I mean, obviously they have it as in their back pocket as a security blanket, but I mean, after what happened last year with the injury and how the team was just demoralized without him, just pay the dude.
If I'm Dak, I'm saying to them, if you guys are going to tag me, I'm not playing. I'm going to be that simple.
Oh no,
give me
at this point.
Yeah, I would go into a meeting as Dak Prescott and say, give me $37 million fucking dollars, or I am not playing for you guys. I keep it that straight with them. I don't want to get tagged. You guys screwed up last year. You guys are pissing me off. Give me my money or I'm leaving. I don't need you guys. I'm surprised if Dak takes the tag, that would tell me a little bit about the type of person he is. Maybe he's a little bit of a softie, just throwing that out there. Maybe he's not the guy, the leader that maybe you want in a quarterback. I know that's a little bit of a stretch, but I can't even fathom him getting tagged again and him accepting that after what happened last year. I think that's insanity. I request 37.5 and give me 35 if you want. We can make it incentive laden. So if I make a Pro Bowl or whatever, I get more, but that's, yeah.
What about going to Dak? And this is what I would do if I was Dak. I go the Kirk Cousins route. I say, fine, you don't want to go 5 years or whatever it is. Let's do 3 fully guaranteed, 3 for $100 million. It's essentially 3 tags, all guaranteed. Then I hit the market again at 30 years old, and then I can go get my 5 or 6 year deal. Again, betting on yourself, but having the safety blanket of 3 guaranteed years for $100 million. I think that's like the best middle ground for both sides.
The only issue with that is the injury, Nick. He just got hurt. Cousins really never had injury problems. So you're always putting yourself at risk when you have a short-term deal that you're not going to get to where you think you're going to be because your body's not holding up. But he's got guaranteed
years. Like fully get 100% guaranteed contract, which is unheard of in the NFL at 34, 35 million each year.
Yeah, I mean, if the Cowboys would do that, I think it
makes sense for both teams.
All right, can I just jump in and talk about this comment real quick?
Big bets, I like that.
Yeah, I love it.
Let me know if you got
any tips. Go ahead and start their rebuild now. The Tom Brady effect is over. Buddy, the Tom Brady effect was over the second he walked out the door. What the hell do you think that they were doing when they signed Cam Newton the end of June for $1 million? Don't you think that they knew that the Tom Brady effect is over and that the rebuild, this is like the time is going to start? You can't do much. I mean, when you have no money and then you have opt-out.
I think you trade Belichick for a second-round pick that could be conditional one. Yeah. If he loses some weight, do something like that.
Some of the space that the Patriots have in people's heads, just like to short circuit things like this. No kidding. The Tom Brady effect is over. He doesn't play here anymore. What are you talking about?
I like it. Get after him.
Jeez,
I like how you said talk and you had the Boston accent. Yeah.
Makes my head hurt sometimes.
Yeah, I agree. The Pats should rebuild.
Or they should just bring Gronk back and Garoppolo and pretend that Brady never left and just party it up.
I think that bridge was burnt a long time ago when it comes to Gronk. I don't think.
Oh yeah, there's no way he's coming back. I could see them moving out from
anybody.
Edelman. That's funny. You just said Edelman is dying to. Yeah, that's for sure. He probably feels like the guy who's like left out of the party. He's like sitting there like watching all of his friends win and celebrate, and he's here with like Belichick, grumpy old ass, and
it's like, damn, how am I going to get 1,000 yards now? I actually have to like run good routes and catch balls in traffic. Tough times.
The thought amongst Pats fans up here is that that's what's going to happen. Is Edelman's going to ask to either be traded or released? And
I put Edelman on the write-up that I did of potential salary cap casualties and guys that people move on from. You could check that out on the app too. People really like that one. So it was cool. It was basically a list of 4 or 5 guys from every team who could potentially either move on from, restructure, trade, cut, whatever it may be. And check that out on the app. Just a little.
What's Edelman's cap hit, Nick? Or how much cap do they save?
I think they save $6 million on the cap after the dead. So I think they only take incur like a $2 million dead cap. I could check, but
it's not a ton. I know that much.
No, they can move on from him pretty easily.
It's not a lot, which would
what's an interesting situation every year it is with this guy, but with Odell Beckham, he next year his cap he would save the Browns about $15 million in savings. So if Odell doesn't have a good offseason, the Browns may say, I don't want to keep this guy another year. They can trade him, save $15 million this offseason, but next year they can actually cut him. So Odell Beckham.
I don't know what it is, but Baker seems to play a little bit better.
He absolutely does.
When Odell isn't on the field.
Yeah.
I like an NFL without Odell.
I mean, I don't know if people realize this. I mean, I have some experience playing flag football quarterback, and I've had some diva wide receivers. Anthony DiBiase, you're probably watching. But no, when you're pressured to throw to one guy, when you're saying hike and you're just looking at one guy the whole time, it affects how you play quarterback. And if that guy's telling you to throw him the ball, you're not able to just scan the field and feel no pressure and get the ball out to the right spot. Having that number one receiver sometimes screws with your head as a quarterback a little bit. I'm just saying. So I think Baker is best when he doesn't have to give it to one person. When he has Higgins
and he has
and
Nick Chubb and one of the best offensive lines and Kareem Hunt to rely on too. I think that's helpful. I like that splash. Producer splashes swap Gilmore and Odell. It's interesting.
I saw Pro Football Focus posted a mock trade. Gilmore for, I think it was a 3rd and a 6th to the Browns, or swap with the Browns. There's no way.
I think Bill wants to move on from Gilmore. I think you'll see.
I do too. I think that they've been trying to shop him for at least the last year. I think they let him get his defensive player of the year, and they're like, okay, this is the prime time to see what we can get for him, and they've been trying, and then
this guy Big Bet is coming for your head, Bree.
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah,
I like how Splash keeps putting them up too. I respect that.
I know. I asked for one comment to come up because I wanted to talk about how dumb it is, and now Splash is just doing it. That's all right.
Yeah,
Hightower is coming back. All the people that opted out are coming back. That's been confirmed by Devin McCourty. So the Pats have good linebackers outside of Dante Hightower. Chase Winovich, good. I know he's more of an edge guy, but still. Josh Uche proved this year when he wasn't dealing with a foot injury that he is one of the better rookies that the Pats had. Yeah. And I know the Pats weren't all that great this year, but you can't say Dante Hightower's going to come back and just save the team. Like, there's more people around him that are going to benefit from him being there, but they're also going to benefit from each other. So whatever. Yeah. I'm done with Pats talk for now.
Cowboys send a 2 to the Browns to the Pats for Gilmore. It's interesting. Cowboys could use some help in the secondary for sure. Frankie
Oh my!
Football quarterback in Hawaiian swim trunks. Yonkers.
My flag football career consisted of just managing to wake up 20 minutes before the game after a long night out at Brazen Fox, putting on whatever short piece of shorts I could find. A lot of times it was my swim trunks. I would throw them on, high white socks.
The Crocs.
Went right out there. Yup, the Crocs.
Oh my God.
Killing it.
Sore eyes.
Killing it.
My God.
Can we talk about quarterbacks?
Yeah, can we move on from Frankie's Hawaiian shorts, please? All right, so in the football reporting world, the people with sources we're supposed to believe and we're supposed to think, oh, they have more information than we do. Some of them are saying that Zach Wilson is the QB1 of the draft. So are we buying this? Can we just all agree that it's going to be Trevor Lawrence? We all know it's Trevor Lawrence. There's no reason to actually even be wasting our energy on this. Or is there some validity to this? I know, Nick, you're a big
I'm a Zach Wilson fan. I'm a bigger Trevor Lawrence fan, and I don't think there's any way that Wilson goes above Lawrence. I mean, I think what it boils down to, and I talked about this with the Play Like a Jet podcast last night. You're getting a lot of people who are watching Zach Wilson for the first time now. The college football season's long over. The NFL's over. We're getting into draft season. A lot of people don't watch BYU. They're not on the TV a lot. So they're saying, all right, well, what's this Zach Wilson kid at talk? What's all the hype about? And then you hear the off-script plays, the Patrick Mahomes throws, the Aaron Rodgers throws, the cross-shoulder throws, these plays that only the NFL greats make, and you see Wilson doing this at BYU on a regular basis. And then you see Lawrence, his last game, you see him, he's like your kind of prototypical quarterback. He's what you expect. He's been raved about for 3 years. A lot of people say he was one of the only quarterbacks who could have started on an NFL team as a true freshman. That's what people were, all these evaluators were saying for 3 years now. And you just kind of buy into the hype of dead time. And you're like, wow, this Watson kid, I keep saying Watson, but this Wilson kid could play. I haven't seen him before. So I think it's a lot of people watching his tape for the first time, like a Mark Schlereth, a Joe Theismann. They're hyping up Wilson, and you're probably getting a little bit of agent play. And, maybe a team like the Jets or Dolphins are hyping up Zach Wilson to make that draft spot where they're picking a little bit sweeter for a potential trade. But I don't think anybody truly thinks, Wilson is a better quarterback prospect than Lawrence. Can he be better in a spot? Let's say he goes to a team that's better than what the Jaguars have put together, because we don't talk about it, but the Jaguars shit the bed with their coaching, whatever you want to call it, this offseason. Not Urban Meyer specifically, even though I'm not a big fan, but what they've done with the assistant coaches and then the whole strength and condition idiot that they hired and then fired the next day, they just proved that's why they're the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Lawrence is probably sitting there and shit, maybe the Jets were a better team, and I wish they wouldn't have won 2 games. But, and you hear the whole hype, he should have sat out, he should, pass over the Jets if they get the number 1 pick, but you're not hearing that now with the Jaguars. But regardless, Lawrence is the number 1 pick. He will be the number 1 pick. And even if, let's say, 1 or 2 teams truly believe that they like Wilson's upside better than Lawrence, the Jaguars aren't that team. They basically put together Trevor Lawrence's pro day, and you had Urban Meyer there with Dabo Sweeney at midfield. He's going to be picked number 1.
Nick, I agree with you, but do you remember in the 2018 NFL draft before what ended up happening? It was pretty we all thought it was known that the Browns were going to select Sam Darnold. He was maybe the Trevor Lawrence of that draft. And you had the owner out there with Darnold's parents sitting there watching the pro day. And then what ended up happening, you had these murmurs about Baker Mayfield, and then Baker ended up going 1, which to this day still shocked me that Baker went 1. Mm-hmm. But and maybe at this point deservingly so, but I was shocked when that happened. So I'm not so sure that, Jaguars are probably most likely going to take Trevor Lawrence 1, but now that they're putting the film in and they're starting to do some diligence and they're looking at some things, Zach Wilson's 6'3". He's a big dude. He's got all the skills. We'll get into it really soon about Wilson versus Fields, but I don't think it's that crazy because of what we saw in 2018 with how Baker jumped up and ended up going 1 when it was thought that Darnold was going to be the guy. So
yeah, no, I hear you. I just don't think, and it's funny, I had the same conversation with, it's funny, he just commented because I knew he was going to. I had this conversation with my brother, and he was talking about, this Trevor Lawrence hype. They say this every, few years, this guy's the next great prospect, can't miss. Lawrence, like I just mentioned before, you had evaluators saying Trevor Lawrence, like Andrew Luck, like John Elway, is probably the only quarterback that I've seen in a long time that could start on an NFL team as a true freshman. That's you're talking about an 18-year-old kid starting on an NFL team. No one talked about Sam Darnold to that great of lengths. Yes, he was a highly regarded, guy coming out of USC. He was definitely regarded. I think 29 out of 32 NFL evaluators had him as the number 1 quarterback. But that's you're talking about Trevor Lawrence, who's hands down the best quarterback prospect of the last 5 years. Nobody talked about Darnold as a can't miss like they have with Trevor Lawrence for 3 years. Darnold kind of just bursted onto the scene, after that Rose Bowl game against Penn State. He was a nice prospect. He wasn't even the starting quarterback that year. Then he came into his second year, started, and he was highly regarded. But Lawrence was from day one, this sunshine, wonder boy quarterback. So I just don't see in any possibility of a team passing up Trevor Lawrence.
The one thing is, though, Zach Wilson is, I would say, coming into this draft, Zach Wilson is maybe a more NFL-ready quarterback than maybe what people thought Baker Mayfield was at that time, due to the size, due to some of the arm physical characteristics with his arm that Zach Wilson has, which Baker really didn't have. So
definitely a better prospect, in my opinion.
It's pretty known at this point that Zach Wilson's going to go top 3, top 5. Justin Fields, I can assume, probably will as well. Maybe he'll be the one that could drop to 6 or 7. But yeah, I would say for sure it's going to be Trevor Lawrence 1. But the 2018 draft, the process gets a little bit weird. So they look at things, they know things, and I don't think that report was fake. I don't think that teams having Wilson over Trevor Lawrence, I don't think that wasn't a fake report. That was a real report. There are teams that probably do have Wilson over. Are they drafting 1? No, they're not. But you're talking to scouts that might feel that way. And after watching Wilson, the last couple nights and looking at how he plays quarterback, I could see somebody wanting to take him over anyone in this draft, honestly. But I personally have an issue with Wilson, and I don't know if you guys want to get into it now, but
let's do it.
Go ahead.
Now then when?
Go ahead.
All right. This is the debate. Zach Wilson versus Justin Fields. Zach Wilson. I've been studying these guys.
Can I put some parameters on this conversation?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Can we not get any name calling, and can we be as civil as possible?
That.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay.
No, we'll be good.
Anyone that goes to BYU, I'm gonna call them out.
Figured we'd try. All
right, Fields versus Wilson. Zach Wilson, to me, has all of the I call it carnival quarterback characteristics. He can make any throw. He can move around the pocket well. He has a big base. He's tall. He can deliver the ball from different arm angles, throwing angles. He can do a lot of the things that you're looking for a potential number one quarterback to do. He could do everything. He has all the intangibles, throwing wise. What I am not sold yet on with this kid is when he goes and plays in the NFL, is he going to be able to take a hit from a 280-pound defensive lineman that wants to take his head off and wants to hurt him? Is he able to take that hit and get up the next play with dirt and grass in his face? Can you take Bill's comment down? We're trying to have a debate here. I like, Jesus Christmas. Oh my God, dude. I can't even look at the camera. Can he take this hit and actually mentally be the guy you need to go back into the huddle and say, I just got my ish rocked, but let's go. We got to finish this game. We're going to win this game. Does he have that personality? Because as we posted today, from 2009 to 2016, there have been 22 quarterbacks picked in the first round. Not one has remained with their team. Not one. So playing quarterback in the NFL, as you can see from this, is not easy. It's not about your arm. A lot of quarterbacks on this list have great arms, have great legs, have the base, are able to throw from different angles. Does Zach Wilson have the mental edge that's needed to be a great quarterback in the NFL? I'm not sold on it. I watched his tape. His tape is fantastic. Seen his interviews, nothing there really grasped me to say, like, this guy's your leader. This is the guy that you can give the keys to for the franchise and have him run with that with those keys for 10 years, which is what you want. Now, getting into Justin Fields is a natural born leader from day one. You look at that guy, he brings you in. He's played in big games. In his biggest spots, he's performed at the highest level. He can run, he can throw deep, he can throw short, and he can get away from pressure. And he's a guy you know that if you give the keys, he's not going to crash the car. Zach Wilson could crash the car if you give him the keys because something up top might not just resonate with being a leader at the NFL level. Justin Fields, I feel confident in that guy. I actually think his ceiling is a lot less than Wilson. Wilson has a higher ceiling, but I know giving Fields the keys, I'm confident in him. He reminds me a lot of Jalen Hurts, Justin Fields. He reminds me of a better Jalen Hurts. So to me, I just value what this guy can bring as a leader, and giving him the keys, I can go to sleep at night and say, you know what, this guy Justin Fields is going to want to come out next game, and he's going to want to get a W. He's not going to try to eat a W like Jameis. He's going to try to get the W, and he is a guy that you can trust. I cannot trust Zach Wilson, and I think if you're convinced that you can, I think you could find a guy that's going to hit that list that we just put up of not being on the team that drafted him in 4 or 5 years. Fields, something different about that guy. Fields is built differently. He looks differently. He's different. He's not like everybody else. So that's all I have to say about that. Damn, it's not like Forrest Gump.
I was going to say, okay, Forrest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you want to talk about it facing adversity, you had a guy in Zach Wilson who had a broken hand, a torn labrum, and took a 4-9 BYU terrible program and turned them into an 11-1 team 2 years later and turned them into a top 10 team in the country. So I think there's a little bit of adversity there that he faced, whereas what has Justin Fields shown you in the face of adversity? What did he do? I don't think there's anything that you can say. What did he do? He led a team that was number 2 and 3 in the past 2 years and took them to the championship game with a load of talent, with an NFL offensive line, with one of the best wide receivers in the country, with probably the top 3 coach in Ryan Day. I don't think there's, for every conversation you have about Zach Wilson with the lack of competition at BYU, you can have the same conversation about Justin Fields playing with NFL players on his team and throwing to guys that don't have a corner within 10 to 15 yards around them. You're throwing to Chris Olave down the field. And yes, Fields can make the throws. There's a lot to like about him. He tends to hold on to the ball a little bit too much. He tends to rely on the first read, very robotic, like a Ryan Day system. Just take a look at Dwayne Haskins in the NFL, who had a better year than Fields ever had at Ohio State, 50 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Also in the Heisman conversation, just like Fields was. I'm not going to get into the character because Haskins obviously has character issues. We don't know that or think that Fields does. I don't know these guys enough to get into their character. I'll never judge unless it's right in front of your face. I'm not going to get into what people say about a guy, and because you're going to always have teammates who come out and back the guy, and you're always going to have somebody who says the opposite. So I'll leave that up to teams to find out. So when you're talking about a guy like Zach Wilson, you're talking about, again, a terrible program. He took it, put it on their back, and brought them into the top 10 with nobody. You're talking about they might have one drafted player besides and that's Brady Christensen, their left tackle, probably because Zach Wilson was so good. He probably improved a lot of Christensen's game. But you're talking about Ohio State, who's going to have probably 3 first-rounders. Olave is going to be a top 10 pick next year. And you're talking about Ryan Day. I bet you can't even name the BYU head coach. He's a moron. If you listen to him talk, it's like, how can this guy get anybody to come play for him? So you're talking about a guy, yes, Wilson looks like the little entitled brat. You look at him and you're like, I don't like this guy. Yes, I did say the same thing about Tua last year. Actually, it was probably my number 1 debate about Tua and why I wasn't a fan. Also, the loopy left-handed throw I was never a fan of. But yes, I said that. So you're talking about, again, the field vision of Zach Wilson. He's got a feel for the game. He's got the accuracy. Yeah, most of these guys do. The quick mental processing, that's what stands out to me the most about Wilson. He makes the throws down the field. It's not like he's a guy who's going to turn the ball over. I think he had 5 turnovers, maybe 8 turnovers, whatever it was the whole season. He's not a guy who's throwing multiple 60-yard completions and touchdowns down the field and turning it over 20 times like Darnold was at USC or Josh Rosen turned into. You're talking about a guy who's very accurate, careful with the football, so he's not just out there slinging it around, playing against shitty competition. What he's doing is taking a terrible program, playing against less than, top talent, and literally pulling their pants down on live TV and shitting on them. So this guy checks all the boxes. I don't think he's Trevor Lawrence, because I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be, he's just so clean like Lawrence. Like there's not even a debate about Lawrence. I think he's just your guy who comes around once every 25 years. We may have seen 2 with Andrew Luck, but he's a slam dunk pick. But for me, Wilson is hands down quarterback 2. And for me, it may sound crazy, I think Justin Fields is a 2nd-round pick. All
right, I'll say one thing. Wait, what did you just say? Fields?
I think Trey Lance has a higher upside than Fields, and I think Mac Jones is a safer pick than Fields.
All right, this is the thing. I know people are obsessed about Dwayne Haskins and Troy Smith and Cardell Jones, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, Barrett. JT Barrett, Ohio State's never had a quarterback." I don't really care if they never had a quarterback. What the hell does that mean? I've never gotten pizza down the street. Does that mean that the pizzeria is bad? You're talking. It doesn't mean anything. It means 0 to me. I hate when that reasoning's used for. Oh, they never had a good wide receiver. Notre Dame. Why is Pittman going to be good or something? Like, what are people talking about sometimes? They bring up these things about players and teams.
Well, you're talking about development of a quarterback and what they're asked to do in college.
It
and
means
what they're going to be forced to do in the NFL.
It means it starts with a D, the word. It means that. My father says, I'm not going to say it on the air. It means D. Honestly, that is horse crap. It doesn't mean where you come from does not matter about how you're going to play in the NFL.
So then
it
why
matters,
are you using that with Zach Wilson and playing at BYU with the competition?
I'm not using it playing at BYU. What I'm saying is this guy's never been hit by a 285-pound psycho defensive end NFL caliber level that wants to rip his helmet off and look at Myles Garrett.
Yeah, we're never going to know that until they get to the next level. That's
but I can't. I know Fields, but Fields, it has to be though, and that's why I think these GMs have made a lot of mistakes drafting, as we just showed. It's a guess, but getting a guy like Jake Locker. What do you think's going to happen? Blaine Gabbert. What do you think is going to Blake Bortles? What is going to happen getting these guys? They're going to get hit one time. They're not going to want to stand up and play football again. This is a tough man's game. There's a reason why Carson Wentz got traded today and Jalen Hurts is starting in Philly. Because Jalen Hurts will take a hit and say, come back, bro. Come on. You got it. You guys are good.
How do we know? We haven't seen that yet.
You could look at him. You could look at on the field, and you could look on the field and see that's the reason this guy went to championship games and won them in Alabama. It takes something mentally, and I'm sick of drafting these carnival quarterbacks. Oh my God! Look at his arm. Look at his arm. He could throw it, 50 yards on a dime. Who cares? These guys are trying to take his helmet off and beat him up during a game. This is a mental game. People don't realize that. And
I know Zach Wilson has shown a lot. It'll come back from
he hasn't.
Broken hand, torn labrum, terrible 4-9 program, put it on its back and brought it to the top 10. So Justin Fields never was asked to do any of that. He was asked to steer the ship, man. That's all. Great program. Don't fuck this up. That's all you have to do.
But you have to say, though, when they beat Clemson in that game and he was hurt, they were saying in the end, and he had an interview post-game and they asked him, how do you feel? He said, we found out you were hurt. How do you feel? He said, I wasn't hurt. And if they say I'm hurt, maybe I am, but I don't care. We're here to win. Like that, I'm telling you, Fields is special. Fields has those intangibles. I don't know. Wilson, to me, is a big gamble. You're giving this guy the keys to a 2-14 team, and I don't know. I can't trust that. I think, and my reasoning is what we just said. From 2009 to 2016, there have been 22 quarterbacks picked in the first round. Not one of them has stayed with that team and panned out because these are pretty boy carnival quarterbacks that cannot take a hit, don't know how to grind mentally, and when things go bad, they put their tails between their legs and they flop. It's almost better sometimes to get a guy later on, a Russell Wilson type, who knows how to overcome adversity and is mentally equipped to lead a team. Is Zach Wilson? I don't know. I think
when you look at the two, and if you want a definite answer to that, I think you could see that one guy has overcome injuries, has dealt with a shitty program, and has put them on his back and led them to an 11-1 record. And the other guy, just like I said, just steered the ship. I don't think there's anything that tells you Justin Wilson checks all these boxes that you're talking about with all these hypotheticals. It's not an exact science here. Like there's nothing that says, all right, where's the box that says this guy can take a hit from a 300-pound lineman and get back up and throw a touchdown? Like, there's nothing that can project that for you, unless you're talking about a guy who you see on film flinch when he throws the ball. Like we have, Frank. We've gone over that many times. Like, that was a worry with Mark Sanchez when we were going through the process. Like, unless you can clearly see it on tape that this guy is scared to throw the ball or to stare down the barrel and take a hit from a 300-pound lineman, I don't think there's any exact science that you can say Zach Wilson or Justin Fields for that reason is a guy who is going to not check out that box for you. I can't.
I will say that
it's not fair to say Zach Wilson is like that.
I agree to an extent with you there because looking at Zach Wilson's tape, I didn't see anything from him that suggested that there's no flinching in the pocket, under pressure. He gets the ball out. He usually gets it to the right place. So from that perspective, I agree with you. But I do not trust this kid in a big spot against big boy competition yet. And I think giving him the keys, as a number 2 pick, I think is very, very dangerous. And
there's a reason why
I'm worried about
quarterbacks fail, because you're going to bad organizations. It's going to be on the Jets or that team that picks Wilson and Fields to put them in the position to win. That's why Mahomes, he went wherever he went, 9 or 12, to Andy Reid, who traded up for him, and they put him in a great position to win. He learned behind a very good teacher in Alex Smith, had good weapons around him, was able to play with a great coaching staff. If you're just you're throwing Zach Wilson to the Wolves and saying, good luck, your number one receiver is Jamison Crowder, he's probably going to fail unless he's just unbelievably special. So it's not just so much goes in, and that's why it fails and fails and fails over and over again when you take these quarterbacks high. It's not that one guy is so much better than the next guy. If you take Wilson and Fields and put them on the same field in the same circumstance, I don't think either one of them is just that much better than the other. I just think it so much depends on where you go and who's around you. I trust Zach Wilson enough to give him to a Mike LaFleur and put him in his offense and say, get the ball out quick, make plays down the field, get out of the pocket with your legs, do some special things with your arm, which you can. And Fields can do the same thing. I'm not saying if the Jets take Fields, it'll be a mistake. I prefer Wilson, but I don't think if you say, here, just go to the Jaguars and make them reborn again, I think you're setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah, well, the best part about this is we still have a whole nother month and a half to talk about it. So I don't think this is going to be the last time we bring this up. I don't think this is going to be the last time I sit here and listen to you two talk over each other for 10 minutes straight.
By the way, the comment section's going nuts with ones and ones. Oh, my man, William Spano, salutes. You're on Team Fields, and I appreciate.
It's me versus these two in the group chat, and then my younger brother, when he feels like checking in, is on my side with Wilson. So I'm up against these two.
All right, well let's take a break from football because we had some money being thrown around in Major League Baseball last night. So what the hell would you guys do with this amount of money? So Fernando Tatis, the quote-unquote face of the league, signed an extension with the Padres, 14 years, $340 million. And the worst part about it is he's going to take home less than half of that after state taxes in California.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Imagine signing an extension like that and you don't even see half of it because it goes to taxes and whatever.
I know the endorsements in baseball, which is a baseball problem, is not what it is in the NFL. I'm not crying about any kind of money that he's going to miss out on. I think he is a very important player for the future of the sport, though, because he's young, a good-looking kid, energetic. He's not your boring. You can even say Mike Trout is boring. You don't really want to turn the TV on to see Mike Trout play baseball because he's awesome, one of the best to ever do it. But there's no swag or any kind of special excitement when he plays. He just plays the sport really, really good. Tatis, on the other hand, is energetic. He's electric. He's fun. He's outgoing. The Latin aspect to it, he brings something to the game. I think a guy like Tatis, it's a huge moment for baseball to capitalize on a guy like him. And, San Diego, I don't know if they're printing money over there or what's going on. All of a sudden, they're spending out their ass. I thought the Mets were going to be the team to be spending this offseason, but they're not. But that's a great deal for the Padres. And obviously, anytime you can – even though on paper it's not $300 million, you can cash in on a $300 million contract. It's a great deal for the player too. But it's an important moment for baseball to really finally start they're so stuck in a historic old school mindset. They got to get out and get ahead of where the NBA has done with their players and what football does with theirs, and make it more about the player, not about the history in the sport. You have guys out there who you can put as the face of the league, who can go out there and do what a Patrick Mahomes does for football. What I don't even want to say a LeBron. I guess a LeBron. I don't know who would be the equivalent. LeBron's a little old now, but what some guys do for the NBA, like Steph Curry. They need to start really letting these players be themselves. I respect what Trevor Bauer wants to do.
Oh my God.
Trevor Bauer is just so lame and not funny. And he wants to be the face of the league guy, but nobody truly likes him because he's kind of a tool. So
kind of.
He is a tool. I can't.
He's a massive tool. He's a whole freaking shed.
Yeah, he is a shed. But no, a guy like Tatis is so important. When you talk about even Mookie Betts is quiet, Aaron Judge is quiet. Tatis is a guy with some juice to him. So I think they really need to push their chips in on this Tatis contract and go balls to the wall about it. And I don't know what they need to do, but they need to do something because they are losing some younger fans. And it's a good move that they brought back MLB The Show. I know it sounds silly, and they put it on like Xbox and more platforms, but they do need to, get behind this kid and let him kind of be himself. Don't try and like neuter him by like with the bat flips and the crazy hair and stuff. Like they need to go all in on this guy.
Yeah.
By the way,
these whole unwritten rules in baseball, like I am so sick of it.
Yeah.
Like if you want to appeal to the younger generation, to the kids that would rather be playing Fortnite or whatever the hell the kids play nowadays on these gaming consoles that cost half of my rent. I don't freaking know. If you would rather appeal to that, then you got to let these guys pimp a grand slam despite the fact they're up 12. You got to let them bat flip. You got to let
the pitchers throw at these guys. You can't do that to the pitchers either. You got if someone wants to throw at Tatis for dancing, like let him do it and deal with it. They'll get over it. It can't just be like we're going to play between the lines. We're going to do this, this and this. Be so strict about it. Let these guys go out there and like market themselves and let's like have some fun. It's a sport. It's not you're not in school here.
Right. Like, and if you're going to let these games go 4 or 5 hours long, at least make them fun.
Yeah.
Like nobody wants to sit here and watch just, a dude strike out and walk away. Nobody wants to watch some guy hit a homer and just look like he just opened up a new jar of freaking peanut butter. Like nobody wants that. They want energy. They want the fun aspect. Like when I was a kid, you had the Yankees and the Red Sox fucking throwing old men on the ground and things like that. Like that was fun when I was a kid. And that's why I like baseball. Not throwing old men on the ground. That's mean, but like Pedro, whatever.
Funny, It's like what you did in Tampa, Bree, Same thing.
Yeah. Oh my God. Close.
I will say, Fernando,
like that,
public service announcement, Fernando Tatis, if you don't want to pay any taxes, I know a tax office in the Bronx on Williams Road. Doing tax office, baby.
Best in the game.
We'll get you around 75 to 80% of
that's
that
a fair
money.
deal.
Okay, yeah. So just hit up my boy Kenny, and all your tax liabilities will be fine. But I will say this though: is Fernando Tatis worth that money? Like the guy batted 277 last year, and young guy, giving him big money, 14 years. Is he worth that money? Because that's a big contract. And yeah, I know he was flashy and whatnot, but what if the guy kind of does what the third, what was it? Manny
Machado?
What if he Machado's it and kind of just flatlines a bit after getting that money? So I like Fernando Tatis, and I agree 100% with what you guys are saying in terms of his value to the game and what sort of energy and personality he brings that the game needs. But you batted 277 last year, partner. Like, that's a little bit risky to give somebody that much money if he's not necessarily worth it. So it's a big deal to me. And this could, if this doesn't work out, this can actually set the game back. Because what happens is you give big money like this, everyone's looking at this guy as being the next star in the sport, and then they don't deliver, and he plays badly, and you can't cover him. I see how they're projecting out, and he's so young. I mean, those are fantastic numbers for your first 2 years, and consider it was a shortened season. So those are fine numbers. I think the average there would be around 45 home runs for that throughout the course of a full season. But it's a big contract. So yeah.
Yeah, he's worth it. And he's worth it to the Padres, a team that's been like, no one has cared about the San Diego Padres for like 30 years. And even if they did then, it would be a surprise. He's worth way more than that to the Padres and to what he'll bring for that organization. And it's a 14-year deal. He's only going to be 35 at the end of it, which is crazy to think. And yeah, he's totally worth it. It's an uncapped sport. So it's a great deal for both sides. And, baseball's a little different. They sign, these younger kids a lot earlier. It's more, you don't have to put in the 4 or 5 years like you do in the NFL. They give these deals, and they want that team control for as long as possible.
Yeah. I just think it's important for the game. Like I know, like I said, he's not taking home half of it. And like, I really don't have sympathy for him not taking home $160-something million. Yeah. Like, boo-hoo. Send it my way if you want. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you, but no, it's good for the game. It's good for the people who are already fans of it, it's a tired product. People are fed up with Rob Manfred.
Yeah, it's a fact.
Fed up. So
He's everything people think Goodell is,
this.
but Goodell is much better.
I will say the only good commissioner in the Big Four is Adam Silver. The rest are.
I could take him or leave him.
Or just like Gary Bettman, like probably better off without him. But that's
doing that hockey thing again, Bree.
I know. That's a conversation for a different day. All right,
Joe.
Yeah, in a different show. Somebody here didn't know who Wayne Gretzky was. So.
I know. I just don't care about him.
Oh my God! All right. Well, speaking of Adam Silver's league, we're like at the midway point of the NBA season. It's a weird, like shortened season, like because of COVID. Like this whole thing needs to just be over. But whatever.
Are they playing a full season?
I don't think. I don't think
62, so. 62 games.
Yeah.
And what do they normally play? 81.
82.
Yeah.
So we're about halfway.
All right.
So at this point, the MVP frontrunners are LeBron James, obviously.
Shocker.
I know. Like, is anybody surprised? And then Joel Embiid. Is there
Really?
anybody else you would put in that conversation?
Yeah, Luka Doncic.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Just to buy
the thing with the NBA MVP is it has to come from a team that is a top 4 seed usually. If you look at the Dallas Mavericks, the Mavericks right now they're 10th in the West. So even if they finish 7th or 8th, they're not going to be taking an MVP from an 8 or 7 seed. I even remember the year Kobe was dropping 40 a night religiously, and he didn't get much consideration for MVP. So you have to take that into account because the Lakers were, I think, at that point an 8 seed. Now in the East, the Sixers are a 1 seed, and Embiid's having a great season, but he's missed 6 games. So it looks like it's LeBron's right now to run with. The one interesting team from the West you have to look at is the Utah Jazz. They're the number 1 seed and arguably the best team in basketball right now. I think Splash, they've won what, 19 out of 20 or something?
Splash corrected us on the 72 game season, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Greg, what's Zion? What are the Pelicans?
I'm looking right now. They're out of it. They're
really?
they're
gotta
9,
get him
10,
out of
11,
there,
12.
man.
They're a 12 seed. But yeah, Zion Williamson, for the numbers he's putting up, the guy's exceptional. You're talking about he's shooting 61% from the field, dropping 24 a night, 25, which is incredible.
That guy should have been Nick, man. So bad for the league.
Yeah, it is. But speaking of the Knicks, though, we have our own little MVP guy maybe in the convo, Mr. Julius Randle, JR30. It's my guy. He's been killing it, Julius Randle. So for all the haters last year that were hating on Julius Randle, you should stop sharing that stupid video because a turnover is a turnover. Whether
That's
or not
your boy,
spinning,
Frank.
falling,
you love
a turnover is
Randle.
a turnover. If you were ripping Julius Randle as a Knicks fan, go and vote for him in the All-Star game. I don't think he'll get in because the East has the front court in the East selections kind of suck. Like Kevin Durant's considered like a power forward or like a forward. I just don't like how they do that. But vote for Julius Randle in the All-Star game. Let's get another Nick in there. And let's get a Nick in there, actually. We haven't got a Nick in there in a while. Let's do this for the culture, for the city. We're getting over COVID right now. Indoor dining's open. We're at 25%. I invited Nick to Christoph's Steakhouse. He still hasn't responded to me. By the way,
that invite.
Yeah, I invited you in the story. You ignored
snail
me.
Mail? I didn't get that yet.
But
Can the
yeah,
Knicks trade for Zion? Do like a Julius Randle and like their next 10 picks or something?
Zion's not. It's non-negotiable. You could give literally the Pelicans whatever you want. You could give the Pelicans any 5 years. You could give them any 5 players in the league. Literally, and the Pelicans wouldn't do it.
The NBA
he's too much a part of their franchise.
Teams like the Pelicans and then do a redraft. That would be fun.
Nick, your hate for the NBA is just ridiculous.
Who cares about the New Orleans Pelicans?
Who cares about Fernando Tatis, dude? Come on.
I love Ted and I love Zion. Zion needs to be on a good team. It's better for the league.
He does, but the thing
with rigged it like they did for Ewing, and he should be a Knick. There's
Yeah,
no
if he was a
around it.
Nick, it would have been nice. I mean, it would have been a beautiful thing, but it's not how the cookie crumbles, man. It happens in the NFL too, though.
Yeah, with
it's
Lawrence
gonna happen with Lawrence. It may have happened with Baker and the Browns, although they're kind of resurrecting that team. It happens in a lot of sports. It's unfortunate. I think basically most sports, like especially baseball and basketball, I do think there are too many teams.
Yeah,
I do think they should consolidate a few cities and bring it together. How do you do that though? How do you take two cities and then what are you going to just put Zion on the Knicks and then take
whatever you can do to get Zion on the Knicks.
Quick answer. Yeah, you already knew it was coming.
Do it. Trade everything for him.
Listen, if they do that and then the Celtics can get some semblance of freaking help, my God.
Man, a lot of complaining from these Boston fans.
They're a mess right now. We have 1 year without a championship, and
God.
It all goes to
20 years ago, you guys were wearing bags over your heads to every sporting event. I don't want to hear it.
I was only like 3 years old. I can't remember that far back. I was a baby.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so we talked a lot longer about all of this stuff.
I know, it was a long one.
Planned, so we're going to skip over the quick fire questions and do some comment questions, but we're already at like an hour.
Let's do 3 of them and get out of here. It's dinner time.
So we're going to take 3 questions about anything. We can talk about basketball, we can talk about baseball, we can talk about football, probably not hockey because these guys aren't as big into hockey as I am, but if you want, maybe.
Just DM Brianna for
maybe I can take it. I don't freaking know. So post it in like the comment thread. We're going to pluck 3. We're going to try to make it quick, and then we are going to get the hell out of here. So, all right, first one, Mr. Insider. Any news on Watson?
Quiet until something happens and the Texans change their minds. Nothing brewing yet.
Yeah, and I'm not 100% sure what is going to happen because Easterby is kind of just he's going full Mad King from Game of Thrones and just cutting everybody's heads off out there. It's insane, his like rise to power in that organization. I want to know who he has pictures of and what they are because
my deadline passed. I had a deadline to Nick February 15th.
Oh, yeah. I want to remember that. That's true.
For Watson.
When he said Watson was going to get traded. No, this is going to drag on for a bit.
Yeah, I have a feeling too. All right. Where do you think Darnold ends up?
Nice. We got our Twitch fan out there. What's up, Evan?
Nice.
I actually know where Darnold's going to go. I just can't say anything.
Doesn't want to tell anybody.
I don't want to tell anyone. No, you know what? I think Darnold's going to end up, and it's been in my dreams, nightmares, or visions, like we call them, the Washington football team. He will end up there. And we're going to only get a 3rd-round pick for him.
I agree. We're only going to get a 3rd,
so it's going to be bittersweet. It's going to be great to see him gone, but it's going to suck when we get a 3rd and then we draft some terrible tight end who can only play for a few years, and we just got rid of him for nothing. So just expect that, Evan.
All right, let's see what else we got in here. Thoughts on J.J. Watt? That's a good one.
I think he ends up with the Packers.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. Like, he's a Wisconsin guy, obviously. I think they'll be able to maneuver around the cap and make it work. And I think he wants to go, obviously, to a team that wants to win. And I think also this is going to be the off season of Aaron Rodgers, and they're going to do whatever they can to make him happy. And I think a guy like Watt would make him happy, even though he's on the defensive side of the ball. I think Watt coming in will help the team as a whole, and I think they're going to go out and sign a free agent receiver and draft somebody. So I think they're going to make up for what they didn't do last year.
I saw that he is considering the Browns, which I think is.
It felt almost like a.
When the hell's the last time that happened?
Don't make me do it. It was almost like he's kidding. So I don't think he goes around.
Aren't the Steelers the best team for him? Playing with his brother?
Right? Yeah.
Going to Pittsburgh. I think that would be ideal. I don't know. I just think Pittsburgh would be so sweet. And then Ravens fans can continue to make excuses as to why they can't win playoff games anymore.
Yeah, when it's their
little newsflash, Ravens fans, it's because Ray Lewis isn't there anymore. I don't know if you forgot about that guy, but when that guy left, your winning culture kind of went down the tube. So
damn,
just throwing that out there.
Hate came out of nowhere. One last one. What do we got? Who wants the last one? Give us a good one. I see a few in there.
Favorite type of alcohol? We can do that.
Yeah, give it to Bree. Break it down right now. Come on.
Our
I know
in-house
on the
expert.
Yeah.
By the way, me and Nick, we're going to go OT after this. So OT with Nick and Frankie will be on after this. We'll do a quick show. I may even fit an interview in if not. But if follow up on the YouTube channel, we'll get a little 30-minute show post at 7:30.
Back to the question that matters, please.
Alcohol.
Favorite type of alcohol? Some of you may not be of age, so for legal purposes, this is a joke. Tequila.
Good one.
The avocado kind.
Man, if you got the weekend I had with tequila last week, or whenever the hell, when was the Super Bowl? 2 weeks ago? When I was in Tampa. The weekend I had with tequila was.
Jesus.
Yeah. So yeah, if you can handle it, it's great. Good stuff. But get the good stuff, not like the brown, like Jose.
Alec is really mad at you in the chat, Frank, for your unwarranted Raven shot. I kind of agree with him. Not to the length of he said F you, Frankie, but
all right, Alec, how about this? Ready? OT. Come on, OT.
Oh, yeah, let's do
Overtime. Alec, we'll send you the link. Anyone who wants to come on the show, OT. Ryan Splash, you can come on as well. I don't know if our interview is going to happen. So we'll get you on OT, and we'll talk about it then.
Boxers or briefs from Bill? None. All right, we're out of here after that.
Boxer briefs, shorts, tight shorts, gym shorts.
We're done.
Yes.
If the interview happens, somebody shoot me a text, and I'll hop on. But other than that, I will catch you guys on the flip.
Sounds good.
And have a good OT. Bye.